Hello, 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 you and you and you. This is Helen Thomas from the CDFM Study Group. Welcome. All right, we're going to continuing review of CDFM Module 4, Competency 4, and the topic for today is contracting. And so we are going to be picking up on around page 157 of the 2024 study guide. That's the newer book that we're using as of this date. All right, so contracting starts off by going into some basic terms that you need to be familiar with, such as what is a contract, what does it mean to have competency when it comes to dealing with contracts. So let's look at a few of these terms. Mutual assent is basically in a contract, you have to have offer, and then the offer has to be accepted by the other party. And so that is considered to be a mutual assent. An offer is a proposal, and then the acceptance is then the agreement or the acceptance of that offer to accept the terms of that contract. You have consideration. So contracts are based on a mutual exchange and bargain, right? So everybody try to get what they want out of that whole deal. So each party requires some type of value or benefit when they make the agreement. So that's called consideration. The other term is competency. You have to be a competent individual to enter into a contract. So that's why they usually say if you're not considered an adult, which is 18 or older, then you are not competent to enter into a contract. If an individual is drunk on whatever alcohol, and you try to make a deal with them, get them to sign something, well, they're not competent to enter into a contract. So competency. And what is a contract? That's a legally binding document between two parties. And as we're dealing with the CDFM, it's between the government and contractor. So nothing extravagant there. But there are different types of contracting officers. We typically say KO or contracting officer, but there are different kinds. And so in the newer book, which is different than the older, it did not describe this. So types of contracting officers. The first one is the PCO, Procuring Contracting Officer. And they handle, just like what it says in their name, procurement, doing the pre-solicitation phase through contract award, procuring. Then you have an administrative contracting officer, the ACO. They perform the administrative functions of a contracting officer, making sure the regulation is being followed, the checklist. They're the ones that go through to evaluate the functions normally performed by the ACO. So the PCO may retain responsibility for some or all of the function, but also they can be assigned as an ACO, the administrative piece, making sure you have the right signatures, the right documents, and all of that included in that contract. And then the third type of contracting officer is a termination CO. So I didn't know that. I thought they all was, hey, KOs, right? So now we see there's procuring, administrative, and termination contracting officer. So after the PCO issues a notice of termination, then the termination contracting officer is responsible for the negotiation piece to say what else or what's the final settlement for that contractor. What else do we owe? So that's a separate TCO that actually executes that portion of the contract. And then the next lesson goes into contracting and procurement. So now we're getting into buying that capability that we need, but we got a contract for it. So the Federal Acquisition Regulation are the documents or the SOPs, the regulations that are used by the acquisition folks, the contracting folks, as they're entering into contract. They got to make sure that they're FAR system ensures fulfillment of public objectives, timely delivery, we're paying the right price, not too expensive, and we're getting exactly what we're paying for, the standard. So you have the FAR supplements is administered by the DoD, and it contains the requirements of the law, DoD policies, FAR authorities, who are the approving officials, requirements, and all of that, just like any other policy, right? Don't make this hard. All right, you got full and open competition. So as you're going into the contracting and getting ready to get a contractor to provide that acquisition product, then you want to have different type of competition. You can have a full and open competition means that all responsible sources are permitted to compete for this contract. That means it's open to the public, kind of like when you're applying for a job. Some are specific to an organization and some are open to the public. So full and open competition. That's what I think of when I see that. After exclusion of sources. So per the FAR 6.2, full and open competition after exclusion of sources may be used to facilitate certain allowances. So it all depends on what exactly we are trying to buy, who can provide that service. If it's aircraft and it's a specific things on the aircraft, I'm not going to go to a construction company to buy it. I'm not going to allow them to even bid. So I'm going to make sure that it's only people who can provide that service. So I can exclude individuals from bidding on that contract if I know that they don't provide what I need. So the contracting process starts with planning. So most of everything is done in the planning phase. What do we need? When do we need it? What are the specifications? What are the key foundation decisions, costs that we have to deal with? Then we solicit. Solicitation communicates the capability. With that performance work statement document, I can communicate to other contractors, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and I can accurately describe the requirements to those so that they can respond to that bid. The third process in contracting is evaluation. So planning, solicitation, evaluation. All offers are evaluated against factors in the bid. What it is that we need to build, what it is we need to buy. So it provides the basis for the award decision. Then the fourth phase or step is award. All offers are evaluated, and we're going to determine which one is going to get the contract, provides sound basis. If we keep everything in line to the requirement we planned, we solicit based on the requirement, we evaluate based on the requirement, we award based on the requirement, and then post-award, numerous contract administration responsibilities. The contracting officer must stay attentive to all post-award. After it's awarded, then we got to make sure it's executed based on the award. Contract types. So there are different types and risk associated with the type. So for this exam, most likely you're going to need to know who bears the most risk or the least risk in that type of contract. Fixed price versus cost reimbursement. A fixed price are characterized by low cost risk to the government. If it's fixed, I know, think about it for yourself. If you give me, it's going to cost you $6,000. No matter what it costs me, it's going to cost you $6,000. That's fixed. It's a low risk, which means cost reimbursement, the risk is going to be shift to the government, because as prices change throughout the process, that means the price can creep up. So fixed price, let's go down the list. Fixed price contracts, low risk to the government, well-defined requirements, guaranteed delivery by the contractor, payment after delivery or performance, and is profit based on efficient performance and cost control. Versus cost reimbursement contracts. is a higher cost risk to the government because, again, I don't have a set price. The price of it may increase. So it's a higher risk to the government. So fixed cost is a higher risk to the contractor, lower risk to the government. Cost reimbursement is a higher risk to the government and a lower risk to the contractor. So just think about it. Cost reimbursement means the contractor is going to do the job with their money, and then the government going to reimburse them. So that means they might get the most expensive part. I don't know. Guidelines have to be put in place. So there are other types of contract: indefinite delivery, time and material, labor hours, letter. Indefinite delivery can be, hey, we don't need these boxes of paper. We request them when we need them, but we have a contract in place. So whenever we need paper for our copy machines, we just submit the request. So it goes into is a type of contract in which the time of delivery is unspecified. That's one. So lesson 3 now jumps into the solicitation, evaluation, award, and post-award process. On the SF, Standard Form 33 is a solicitation document. SF 33 is a solicitation document used by the KU to prepare the solicitations and the award contracts. So the form is based on a uniform contract format discussed later on in this study guide. There are different methods of soliciting. The method of contracting determines the method of soliciting, whether it's a request for a proposal or an invitation for a bid. So you need to know the difference between request for a proposal and invitation for a bid. So let's look at the quick definitions. Request for proposal is the method of soliciting for contract by negotiating. The RFP is sent to businesses and request a copy of solicitation. The request usually results from the synopsis published as required by FAR 5.101. If the business completes the request for proposal and sends it to the contracting office, it is considered an offer and called a proposal. So I'm requesting you to put in your proposal to do this work versus an invitation for bid. An invitation is the method of soliciting for sealed bidding. The IFB is sent to businesses and requests a copy of solicitation. The request usually results, same way, from the synopsis published in the government-wide point of entry. That means everybody have access to the same information, and then you are invited to put in your bid against that request and send it to the contracting office. And when you send it in based off of an invitation for a bid, it's called a bid. Uniform contract format provides guidelines in the FAR 14.201. I don't say memorize these. I've never seen anybody who had to memorize all these, but always review the information if it's listed there. It talks about evaluation of your contract. So after responses come in, offers on the form of proposal, so it's either proposal or bid, and they are received, they must be evaluated. So this third-party process. So to be eligible for award, the bid again must conform to what it is that we required or requested. Must conform to all the materials, to the price. If we gave a price limitation, how long it must take to do the job, cost, schedule, performance, certifications. Are you already certified? So all of those checklists of things must be evaluated to determine which bids satisfy the requirements that we have. So some key players in the source of selection process. You got the contracting officer. The KO is the only person who can sign the contract. So although we do all the documentation, requesting the contract, providing the funding, we cannot sign contract as financial managers. Only the KO, contracting officer. So you got the contracting officer, you got the source selection evaluation board. So they have a board that determines which bid, which which of the courses of actions or companies identify weaknesses, strengths, deficiencies, capabilities, which one is the right. So you have an evaluation board, you have a source selection advisory council, and source selection authority. That is the individual that oversees the whole selection process of who's going to be awarded the contract. And so the fourth phase of the contracting process is contract award, where the contract is officially awarded to a particular contractor. And so most of the responsibility in this phase lies with the KO, the contracting officer in charge of that contract. So it is important that the program management office and the PM understand all the components of the contract, what was written in the contract, what they will be owed, what they're supposed to do, and so forth. So key activities in the award phase includes pre-award notification, award. So to those who did not get awarded a contract, they have to be notified. The one who's awarded is notified. So award announcements, awarding the contract itself, and then post-award conferences are optional if they need to have it. Then post-award is the final phase in the contracting process. It is the post-award phase, and that is when the functions and the parties responsible for performing those functions, they work together to ensure that the contract is being awarded, is being initiated, implemented based on what it was agreed upon. And so the contract management office plays a key role in this process. The purpose of the contract administration is to protect the government's interest, right? Because they award the contract. Now you need to make sure. So if you're a contracting officer representative, you are a contract administrator. You're making sure that they are following the rules established in that contract. And so contract key administration key players may involve DCMA, Defense Contract Management Agency, procuring contracting officer, that's the PCO, the one that actually writing the contract to procure it, program integrators, so all those administrative contracting officer, determining, so the three types of contracting officers is involved, your contracting officer representative is involved, COR, and the contract management office, whichever office is responsible for managing that contract. There are also in the post-award process agencies that perform specific functions. You have Defense Contract Audit Agency that has the responsibility to audit contracts periodically to ensure that they are being initiated correctly. You have DFAS, Defense Finance and Accounting Service, that is responsible for payment on those contracts, right? Because you got to pay them for the work they do. DFAS is another agency that's involved. Then we talked about the DCMA is a key player in post-award, and the purpose is to provide contract administrative service to all DoD components. And so it doesn't matter where they lie. And so as we continue the contracting process, don't forget basic contracting. If it's written there, you got to make sure that it's followed. If you have technical specifications that have to be met in the contract, you probably need a technical expert on the government side to be the evaluator of that contract. All right, so I think I want to end here. Keep these particular videos short. All right, so that concludes the contracting portion of CDFM Module 4, Competency 4. And so we'll do another video to continue that process. So if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube page, please, sir, please, ma'am, click that button and subscribe. Also, you can click at the top somewhere up there, there's a button that says notification. If you click it, whenever I upload new videos, you'll get a notification or email that says, Helen has uploaded a new video. All right, so hopefully I can get through all these Module 4 as we have a little time on our hand for these past couple of weeks. So I'm going to use my time wisely. Thank you for stopping by. This is Helen Thomas and the CDFM Study Group. I'll see you guys again next time. Thank you.